Hi guys, and welcome to this video on the full moon in Sagittarius that happens on the 14th of June 2022. Thanks for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm going to have a look at this chart next to me and see what it says about this full moon. And the point of these videos is to try and understand what energy is kind of created by the planets and how you can use that to your advantage. So this full moon in Sagittarius happens at 12:51 in the afternoon, and that's based on Central European time. And this chart that you see next to me, if I'm doing a personal reading for you and I draw up your charts, it's going to be on the same kind of wheel. The planets will be in different places and make different connections. But what I need is your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth, same as I've got for this chart. And then I get a snapshot of the sky at the moment you were born. This chart is a snapshot of the sky at the moment this full moon is going to happen. So the full moon is a time when the moon is completely just bright and it's giving its energy away. So we feel this quite intensely because for about a 3-day period, 13th, 14th, 15th of June, we're going to feel a huge amount of Sagittarius energy come in. And that's really positive and upbeat because Sagittarius is a fire sign. It's the sign of the centaur. And the centaur always has his bow and arrow and he's pointing the arrow at some sort of distant goal. So the centaur is always looking ahead. He's kind of saying, okay, what adventure am I going to go on and how can I make that happen really quickly? So there's no hesitation. There's just a sense of optimism, enthusiasm. And Jupiter, the lucky planet, the biggest planet in our solar system, that's about expansion and growth, that rules Sagittarius. So there's this great sense of I can make my experience much bigger and richer if I go and discover for myself. So there's a wonderful sense of adventure and exploration associated with this full moon. So if things have felt kind of flat lately, or you've been like, oh, here we go again, then you're able to bring something really unexpected and positive into your life. So the moon is at 23 degrees, 2 and 3 is 5, and 5 in numerology is freedom. So that comes along with all this optimism of Sagittarius that I am free to pursue things that I like and that I find interesting, and I can do that. No one has to give me permission. I can do whatever I like in terms of pursuing my interests. So then on the other side of the chart, 180 degrees away from the moon, we've got the sun at 23 degrees in Gemini. So in a natal chart here, the rising sign I would interpret as your default setting. So if you're in a crisis, you'll react the way the rising is. The sun is what you're striving towards. It's your consciousness. It's your way of being when you're awake. And the sun in Gemini is also very optimistic. Gemini is ruled by the communication planet, Mercury, and it's about expressing your ideas. And if you look at the glyph of Gemini, it's a Roman numeral 2, and it looks like a doorway. So it's always about your agenda. How can I find a way out of here? How can I find a way to navigate this and to do it in a way that makes use of my intellect and my ability to kind of tweak situations? So what that gives you is a great understanding of other people, what motivates them, what makes them tick. Also, and I'm making it sound kind of sinister because I'm making it sound like Gemini is manipulative. But Gemini can play the part to get what it wants as such. It's much more creative it's much more aware of the way people present themselves and what social rules are and how you come across. And Gemini can use that to its advantage here at 23 degrees again to create more freedom for yourself. So if you feel like you've presented yourself a certain way or you've censored your true identity, it's freedom of the self. I get to be my authentic me. I get to express that. I mean, unless it's like hate speech or, whatever. But it's this unwillingness to compromise the self for what other people may expect or like or want from you. And it's this moment of clarity that says, hey, not only am I free to pursue the things that I like in my life, I'm also free to be myself. Because I was put on this planet the same way everyone else was, and I have a right to be my true self. So that really is freedom in terms of your identity and the way you operate in life. And you're not so willing to compromise your own values and beliefs for, again, the sake of others. Okay, so the moon then forms a T-square with the sun So we've got that opposition between the moon and the sun, and the sun then forms a square with Neptune at 25 degrees in Pisces, and then Neptune also squares the moon at 23 degrees in Sagittarius, and that's where you get this big red square from. A T-square in the chart is an area of friction where sometimes you go back and forth and you can't really, it's difficult to land in one spot. So it combines the sun in Gemini, which says liberate your own identity, the moon in Sagittarius, which says you're free to explore things in the way you want. But Neptune is the water planet of dreams and intuition. At 25 degrees, that's 7, that's the mind and creativity in Pisces. It gives you major access to your own imagination, your own intuition, and what could be in future. So this T-square is actually very positive because you're not meant to get any resolution. What you're meant to do is play the tape forward. If I pursue this area of interest, what could I end up doing in a month or a year or 5 years from now with this? So you're able to kind of creatively visualize what something could lead to next, even if you have no guarantees. So listen to your own intuition. It's going to give you a lot of guidance when it comes to the path you're on and whether it's useful and whether it's going to lead somewhere. The moon then also forms a sextile with Saturn at 25 degrees in Aquarius. So a sextile is a harmonious relationship between two planets. So we've got the luminary, the moon, and the outer planet, Saturn. Saturn at 25 degrees in Aquarius says, learn from other people. They're wise. They have a shared experience, and you can really learn from that. So you're teachable, you're willing to listen, you're willing to learn. But with it being at 25 degrees, you take what you've learned and you expand upon it. So it's like learning psychology and then working with people for a number of years and then adding on to what you've learned by adding your own techniques that you think are valuable and useful. So here you're able to really study and to listen to other people and to be supported and mentored. And then you're able to take that information and creatively adapt it so it works for you or it's particularly your own, and then to move forward with it. Okay, then we've got the moon forming that square with Neptune. I've talked about that. Then the opposition to the sun, and that's it. That's all the moon does. Looking at the other aspect patterns, and by the aspect patterns, I mean all the zigzags in the middle of the wheel. There's something in astrology called a mystic rectangle. It takes two trines. So when two planets are 120 degrees away from each other, and then two sextiles when they're 60 degrees away from each other, and it creates a big blue rectangle. And it really is very straightforward. It is what it says on the tin. So a mystic rectangle gives you this mystical connection with the higher realms, with your higher power, with your higher self that informs you here on planet Earth. But here we've got something very odd. We've got a sesqui square, two sesqui squares, which is when planets are 135 degrees away from each other. And then we have two semi-squares, 45, and they create a big red rectangle. And the red lines are friction and the blue lines are symbiosis, right? They work nicely together. They blend their energies together. So we've got a lot of friction here at the center of this chart. And this rectangle, it connects the rising in Libra with the south node in Scorpio, then the descendant in Jupiter in Aries, and the north node and Venus in Taurus. Oh, so I'm looking for a way to express my own ideas and thoughts and feelings. And all this friction, the sesqui squares and the semi-squares, they give you this restlessness, this prompt, this almost irritability that I need to get something down on paper. I need to capture and record what I think and feel and see and hear. So it's almost like, you know, this freedom of identity and this freedom to choose again and to say, I'm going to go on a different adventure. You're taking the next step with that. I'm now free. I get to do as I please. So how do I now insert myself into society and teach other people that they're free too? So you become like a life coach, like a mentor, in the sense that life doesn't have to be so rigid. And and you don't have to have these blinkers on and follow the rules all the time. So I love this. It's like the full moon of the rebel, the full moon of the anarchist, the full moon of the total independent player. So you're thinking outside of the box, you're operating outside the box, and you're just very much about pursuing your own path in life. So very focused on self-expression and self-actualization. Okay, let's see what else is in this chart. Oh, so, you know, like we have names for all these things, like a mystic rectangle and a grand trine and a kite and a T-square. But a lot of these things, like that big rectangle, what would I call that? A rectangle of motivation? The sesqui squares and the semi-squares. Now we also have something else that hasn't been given a name. If you look at the South Node in Scorpio, that forms a sesqui square with the North Node in Cancer. Then it forms a square to the Descendant in Aries and Jupiter in Aries. And then another sesqui square from Jupiter back to the South Node in Scorpio. And this is another talent that prompts you to do something about it. It's your own emotional experience, what it means to be you and what it means to be on this planet, how you can extend yourself to take care of other people and to nurture them and to show them the way. And that's going to feel super satisfying and fulfilling, that you're not just choosing freedom for yourself, you're helping other people choose freedom, or you're showing them that they can choose freedom for themselves. So you're like a liberator, you're like a... Wow. Okay, so anything that you haven't been able to break free of, anything that's a thorn in your side, like, oh, I wish I could be free of this addiction, or I wish I could control my feelings better, but I can't, or I wish I had the ability to break out of this limiting way of living. Anything that you haven't been able to break out of, anything that keeps you trapped and stuck and not free, there's so much fire and push and drive in this chart that says you're able to overcome one of those obstacles and bulldoze your way through, to ram your way through it. Because Jupiter and Mars and Chiron are sitting together in Aries, and Mars rules Aries, so it's very happy there. It's super ambitious and driven. Jupiter is good luck. When you take independent action, you're likely to get a good result. And then Chiron in Aries, I heal myself by focusing on my needs and what I want to do. The strongest element in the chart on this day is air. Air is about ideas and thinking and perspective and communication. So the sun is in an air sign. You get to re-examine or re-evaluate who you actually are and who you want to be. Mercury is also in Gemini at 0 degrees and it's direct. So you're super sharp here. You're seeing things very clearly and you understand, okay, this is my take on it. So I'm going to go with that. It's valid. And the strongest mode is cardinal. So the cardinal is the leader, the boss. It's Aries and Cancer and Libra and Capricorn. Yeah, so I take the initiative to work. I take the initiative to start new relationships. I take the initiative to take care of my family and to help other people see the light and to give them the freedom to think for themselves and to choose again. Yeah, so I really think this is the unstuck full moon, the moon that allows you to pull in all this power and then to use it for yourself. And again, that may seem very overly focused on the self, but what I'm getting about this season that we're in is that if you want to help other people, if you want to help your situation in life, if you want change, you do at this point here have to put yourself first in order to access all this fiery energy of Jupiter and Mars and Chiron, and then you're able to help other people. So again, charity begins at home. Yeah. Okay, anything else? We've got another T-square between the South Node in Scorpio, Uranus and Venus and the North Node in Taurus, and then Saturn in Aquarius. So do I listen to my own experience, my own feelings? Do I express those creatively, or do I take a moment to listen to other people? And again, I don't think you have to pick. I think you can do all three because they all work nicely together. This is what I know from the past. This is what I want to do in the present. This is what other people are informing me about, suppose. Another T-square. Okay, so a T-square in itself is an area that motivates you. So the fact that we have 3 T-squares in this chart means that you're going to be super motivated. This final one connects, the rising in Libra opposes the descendant in Aries and Jupiter in Aries, and then they peak with the North Node in Cancer. So it's friction between, do I get creative and do I connect with other people, or do I just focus on my own stuff? Again, I don't feel you have to land anywhere in particular. So you're putting yourself first. That allows you to connect with other people in the way that you want and to be creative. And when you do that, just by being present and by engaging with people that way, that's how you take care and nurture them. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of people are going to be looking to you for strength and support because you've got your act together. So make sure that you pursue your own things and then you balance out the day by progressing in your own areas of interest and then helping other people along the way. And you'll feel amazing about yourself because you're doing a lot of good here. You're like generating good karma. So I hope this gives you an idea of what you'll be working with. It looks amazing. I hope you have a fabulous time during this full moon in Sagittarius. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to order your reading with me. And the way you see the chart here, in a personal reading, I draw up your chart by taking your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. If you don't have the time of birth, then order a chart rectification with me, please. That's a process where I work out your time of birth. And then once I have those 3 bits of info, I get your chart and it shows me what your life purpose is when it comes to work, and if it's different from your personal purpose or whether they're one and the same. Relationships, finance, family, health, travel, education, hopes and dreams, anything at all. So if you do have any questions that you'd like me to look at by looking at your birth chart and your cards and your numbers, then please do get in touch with me via the website. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. Please hit subscribe and share the video online. Have an amazing time, and I'll speak to you soon. All the best.